Yo, 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 what's up? It's Marlo. Welcome to Paradigm Shift, episode 19. Today, we're going to be talking about not being able to focus. And for me specifically, I hadn't made a paradigm shift video for around 6 months. And I started writing a couple novels, and halfway through both of those novels, I stopped and I lost focus, lost track of what I was doing. And I've kind of done that my whole life. I went to film school. I was really into directing and writing and switched off that. And, I've kind of done that my whole life. And even though I excelled at directing, I I switched off it. And I want to talk about, losing focus in our lives and kind of get into that from a spiritual perspective, from being present. So, the number one thing that we have to remember, we have to tell ourselves is that we need to stop taking life so seriously. And that might seem almost shocking to a lot of people. And people might think, like, dude, what are you talking about? Life is serious. Like, this is life. We only got one life. And the problem with that is that a lot of that seriousness comes from thought, from thinking, from, believing that we're supposed to be adults now, that believing that life is supposed to be taken seriously and you're supposed to figure out what you want, you know what I mean? And do something great and legendary. And you realize, especially once you get into this kind of spirituality realm, is that that's all just ego. And joy comes from presence, being present. And joy and being present is this light feeling. It's this, I wouldn't say like whimsical feeling, although you can obviously feel that sometimes, but there's like a lightness to being in the moment. And obviously, if someone's attacking you, or, something horrible happened, like you got into an accident or somebody passed away, you're not going to be able to feel that joy and lightness. But you can definitely get out of those dark, depressive feelings quicker when you are present, right? So, focusing on a task, focusing on work, focusing on your passion really comes down to being present. And that's another reason why I have started making videos again, is because I started to realize that I was in this kind of like unconscious cloud. And that came, and it's hard to really pinpoint what that came from. And I talked about it last video, but we were maybe just coming out of the pandemic, and I had been working from home for like 2 years, and then I had to go back into the office, and there was kind of these anxieties about being around people or interacting with people at the office. And just, your when your life switches so kind of quickly from, you were comfortable about, I was almost comfortable being in that pandemic world. And I was kind of sheltered in that world because my work allowed me to work from home. But, you know, I believe that because I was working from home, because I was home all the time, I would be able to do a lot of things that I wanted to do. I could write a book, I could do my paradigm shift, I could, you know, be creative and really make something out of myself. And again, that's kind of ego talking, right? Doing something just for the end game, right? If you are making YouTube videos, and these YouTube videos help people, but you're doing it to get rich, that is not aligned with with presence, right? You see people, they can be successful doing that, but they are not going to be present while doing it for the most part, right? If you can kind of realize that people who do really well in their field, when they're doing that thing, whether it's a sport, Michael Jordan. However, you see Michael Jordan, if you watch The Last Dance, you'll see like this guy was kind of a douchebag, kind of egoic and narcissistic and kind of almost crazy. But when he was on the court, when he was playing basketball, there's no doubt that he was in the moment. And that's what people, they don't realize what that is. And they can't extend that into other parts of their life. But, you know, being able to focus on one thing, being able to focus on something you love, comes from being present, comes from knowing what that is, right? And if you're not sure what that is yet, you need to practice. You need to watch my other videos. You need to read Eckhart Tolle and realize and figure that out first. And that's not to say that you can't do the things you love right now, even if you're not 100% sure what presence is. It just means you have to keep working on that. And for me, who has been studying presence and studying spirituality for 5, 6, 7 years, I still went through that period where, I kind of went back in to unconsciousness. And the thing is, when you become present, you can never fully go back into being unconscious, but you dip. You kind of lose your way. You can still lose your way. You can still kind of be in a fog. But once you understand what consciousness is, you can come out of that fog quicker. And it's not like I was like, wasting away. I remember when I was younger and I would have problems like, I've talked about this before as well, but when winter came along and there was no sun and, you weren't outside having a good time and chilling with your friends, it was cold, dark, I would kind of go into like a dormant, almost depression type period where I would gain a lot of weight. And that still happens now. That actually just did happen, right? I gained some weight, but now I feel like I'm out of it, right? And that came from being present. That came from realizing why was I just playing video games all day and not doing anything, that I enjoy. I mean, I enjoy playing video games, but it gets to a point where you realize I'm just doing this. I'm playing video games because it's almost a habit. Like I'm on autopilot and that's all I'm doing. And, when you really, the only way to find out what you love, what you're passionate about is to be present and to try to be present as much as you possibly can. When you're walking to your car, you are there, you are focusing on the steps that you're taking. Every step, every breath you're there. You're not, in that other realm of just thinking constantly. When you do that, you start to only think about your legacy or how much money you're going to make. And there are people who are successful doing that. Don't get me wrong, but only successful in the money way, right? And people are going to realize, or you are going to realize, that even if you do make a lot of money doing something, if you are not present, if you don't even understand what presence is, it will feel empty, and you may be hurting people, and you may be hurting the world, or you may be giving out false information, or you may be teaching people bad habits or bad things. There's billion-dollar companies who are very successful, but if you really knew what they did to get that success, they kind of, you trade your soul for that success. So the main way to focus in on something and to find your passion and to really continue to do that is to be present and to know what that is. And it takes a lot of practice. And you kind of have to feel, everybody's felt being present before. I maybe felt it without even understanding what it was when I would play sports. You are playing basketball and all of a sudden you're just hitting every shot and you're doing fadeaways and you're, just like doing 360s and like crossing people over, and you're so there. You're not thinking, you're just there. You're playing. I felt it making music. I felt it performing. I felt it directing, acting. When I'd acted previously, just in short films and stuff when I was in film school, but I was able to be comfortable and conscious in front of the camera because I was always able to put myself in the moment when I was there. And I wasn't really pretending to be a character. I was just kind of in that situation. And it was the same thing with directing a movie, right? I wasn't thinking about all the other bullshit. I was just on set, not reacting, but watching what was going on, listening, hearing, seeing actors, and being able to tell when I didn't feel it was genuine. When you're present, you may not even know it. So one thing that you can do is to kind of key in when you feel that way during your day. It may be running, maybe working out, it may be even playing video games. It usually comes from, because sometimes video games and watching movies, you can go into a state that's below consciousness, right? It's like almost a hypnotized state. And people kind of just like to, you come home from work and you're tired and you just kind of want to not think, not have to use anything. So you sit on the couch and you're kind of a zombie watching Netflix or whatever, a show. And if you're not careful, you can go to the state below consciousness, which is, let's call it the zombie state, where you're not thinking, which is a great thing, but you're not really conscious. And you can even be persuaded easy in that state. So I think that's what a lot of TV commercials and ads, they do. They understand, like, we can get this person in this dull zombie-like state, put our ad in, that person's going to be more likely to buy our product because they are in that state. So you have to be careful, because I do it all the time too, especially when I'm playing video games. I'll play FIFA, I'll play NBA, I'll play whatever it is, Skyrim, Fallout, for hours and hours on end. And, there are times where I'm really enjoying it and really present and loving the story and stuff, but there are times where I'm just playing because it's like almost a habit. So you have to find those times in your life, and it's usually when you're doing something creative, or, even if you're doing math or coding, or, there's just so many things. Walking, being in nature is a really easy and quick way to become present, because you're in this kind of state and you're outside connecting with life and the animals out there and the trees and all those things. They are living in this like pure state where there is no thought from them. They're just living. And so we connect with nature so much easier. We can be conscious. And that's one way to kind of start that journey, is to like find those times where 2-3 hours can go by and you're not thinking, you're just drawing, you're just doing something, and realize what that is. And then you can start focusing in on that thing. You can focus in on what that is. And if you don't have that, that's fine as well. It doesn't, being conscious is not about doing something, it's about being here right now. And that can sound boring, but that's just your mind thinking and justifying and having FOMO and being scared that everybody else is doing something amazing, right? And that ties into social media and like so much that I should definitely talk about it in the next video. But social media can be a disaster for consciousness and can bring you into the zombie state very quickly. And I find myself, if I'm not careful, I'll be on my feed on whatever app, Instagram, TikTok, which I don't really have anymore, but they are so smart because they realized if they just have an endless scrolling option, an endless videos and photos, people will probably not stop until they somehow jarringly get knocked out of that state. And it's happened to me where I'm literally on Instagram looking through the stories, or I can't remember what it is, but just scrolling on that endless page, or scrolling on those endless videos, and it's been an hour, 2 hours, and I should have been sleeping to get ready for work the next day, but I'm kind of locked in that zombie state. So a lot of the world revolves so much around being in that state because companies understand this is how we can hook people, right? So the way to focus in on something that you really want to do, or you want to find that something that you love, that you're good at, that you can do for the rest of your life, or make a living on. Maybe you're tired of working in an office or your job and you want to do something that you're passionate about. You have to really clear out all that noise by being present, and throw your phone off, turn it off, put it in the next room if you have to. Put your games, all your video games, in the next room, or you might have to do that. And then you can focus on finding these things that you love. And there are definitely things that I know that I love. I love making these videos. I love talking about being present and learning, and talking to you guys about doing it. I love to play basketball. I love video games. I love watching movies. I love, making music. There's so many things in my life that I've had a passion for, and that's kind of where you have to start. But I did that like self-research almost, where you sit down and you can even write these things down. What are the 5-10 things that I really enjoy doing, and then go down that list, and it'll make it easier for you to focus, to get into it if you really enjoy doing it. So anyways, that's the video about kind of focusing in, doing something that you're passionate about. I'm really feeling great, and getting back into these videos and these talks is just something that I know helps people and helps myself, because the more I talk about it, the more I do. And if you hear this and you have questions about it, or you want me to talk about something else, let me know in the comments down below. And also, once you kind of start to understand these things, a great way to help out the people in your life is to start talking to them about it. If they're struggling with certain things, and you hear it and you start practicing it, start thinking about it and using it, then you can start teaching it to other people. But also be careful with that, because you don't just want to tell people about something that you're not 100% sure of or you don't understand it yet. So it's really up to you to engage yourself more with this type of thing if you're into it. And only person I'm going to tell you besides myself is Eckhart Tolle. Just go check him out, read his books, watch his YouTube videos. He's really the master of this. And I'm just wanting to add and reach another set of people. And, you know, yeah, I really enjoy it. So anyways, that's the episode for today. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Peace.